right to choose and define anti-choice actions that would seek to take away that fundamental right. I've mentioned precedent before at this council table, talking about the many other students' unions who have policy on this already. Some students talk to me and say, why has this come up now? We had a question earlier on that said, why has this come up now? I can tell you that usually students' unions across this country are preemptive of society. And that is the truth. Students' unions were the first to welcome students of color, were the first to welcome queer students, were the first to welcome and take heed with the issues that international students feel. This is yet another, I feel, preemptive issue that students' unions are taking issue with. People talk about freedom of speech with this issue, and I want to address this to avoid the questions that will come from the gallery, hopefully, though I think there will be others anyway. Every individual has the right to speak in our spaces. But whether or not we fund and enhance a club's message that abortion should be recriminalized and helping to restrict the choice of individuals' decision using our resources is the question. And I firmly believe that the greater student body would not want to fund this type of message. But then I hear that the student body probably doesn't want to fund some other types of messages or other clubs. Granted, some people may just not like chess or may not like the ski and snowboard club, but some people just maybe don't like this place. But the fundamental difference is that those are interest clubs and they do not seek to take a right away from an individual or deny individuals a choice. Anti-choice groups do. Everyone should have the chance to get their message out. I agree. Every club should get their message out in a fashion that people can hearing what they're saying. I agree. When that changes is when discrimination comes into the picture. I had a person in my office the other day that was arguing that said anti-choice messaging should be heard, that all students should hear this. And I said, but don't you feel that that's discriminatory? And she replied, no, fair enough. So I said, what about clubs that would be seen to be racist? Should we fund clubs no matter what just to get their message out because they have a different view and they want to be heard? And she said, I think we should fund those clubs as well. And that's where I drew the line. And that's where council has to draw the line. At discrimination. On campus, when students are made to feel uncomfortable because of discrimination, that's where we must draw the line. We must come together as a council tonight to draw that line together. This is not about pro-life groups, as mentioned before. I think pro-life groups should exist. I think debates should happen. I think options should be on the table, such as adoption or other things. And this motion allows that to happen. You have to realize that a pro-life group is very different than an anti-choice group. Basically, this comes down to one thing in the debates I've had with people. If you believe that anti-choice groups are inherently discriminatory towards women because they seek to recriminalize abortion or take choice and rights away, then I urge you to vote in favor of this motion, and I urge you to vote in favor of helping to eliminate discrimination on this campus. Thank you.
So, we're back to, in a sense, back to the future. Those of you who wanted to ask questions about the motion, you can now line up with the mics. I will also, counselors, develop a counselor's question list, and we'll just sort of go like this, back and forth between the mics and ourselves. Again, until the counselor's question list is completed, then we'll just take questions from the group, and I'll start at that point. Counselors, you can just approach me if you want to be on the list. I may or may not. Okay, sorry, go ahead and name, please.
My name is Anka Thomas, and I'm from Canada. And you're elected representative, and you're elected on platforms of student issues, and not just political issues per se. So therefore, I'm saying that these students as a whole have not made an issue. Moreover, you're representing an organization that has the mandatory membership of all students, an organization that should not be taken by political candidates, political organization mandates or not. However, if it is truly a wish to represent students with this motion, shouldn't it appear as an election campaign point or as a purpose of a referendum, especially given the petitions presented this evening that are very close in number and probably had a diverging amount of support from in terms of being circulated, and because anyone else would be able to rest your membership.
felt directly with me. So I would argue that discrimination is both a student's issue and a societal issue. I don't think that we should draw the line there. And as far as your question relating to a referendum, that's a possibility that exists right now, but with the amount of misinformation that I've seen floating around this campus, with guidelines from our chair that we should be deciding on this issue as a council, and with elected representatives that are elected to represent other students and get out there to actually find the messaging and find out what students are saying about this type of motion, that this is an elected body that should decide on this tonight.
However, this elected body was not elected on those points because nowhere did it come up, and
That's debate.
shouldn't it be something that should become campaign point?
So you're it shouldn't be something that should become campaign points. People can run on different campaigns if they like. They can choose to run on what they like to run on. We happen to run, many of the members of the executive and council members ran on several different issues, tuition issues, discrimination issues, racism issues, all kinds of issues that came up that people ran on their platform. And it's not to say that we should just be talking about specifically to, say, educational issues such as the way that a format is arranged for a class or the way the course outline is arranged. We are a students' union that should be talking about issues that are in society that affect all students as well. And if that is not a desire from people that we run on these type of issues, then they should make that known to the electorate body.
Okay, that's it. That was your supplemental. Councilors, I don't have anyone's hands up yet. Okay, go ahead.
Was there yet, when you were running out of the place, that someone could ask the question and I did it on the
So yes, anyone could have asked that question.
And to further think, although we ran as a team, we were individually selected, and I can definitely confirm that because I was running for the service center position, which did represent women, I was asked many times what my stance was on this issue by individual students during the campaign period. Also, I made my views publicly clear before I ran through very many.
Go to that mic, name, please.
Great. Hello, my name is Cameron McKenzie. Great. I just want to show my support. I agree with the CUSA motion.
This is the note just directed to you. This is a question period. So try to keep the statements very short, like one sentence or two, and then put a question.
How does this policy how does the views of the Harvard Charter of Rights agreement being put into this policy for all students?
So in both the presentation summary and in effect, yes, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms has been followed throughout this. CUSA is within its right to consider this policy, and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms will be followed throughout this policy.
No? No? Microphone. Name, please.
Hi, Tim Ryan. I was just reading this. Could you please explain the difference between a pro-life and an anti-choice group? Because to me they seem the same.
Okay, so, the same thing is regular redundant, but maybe it's just a little clarification as to our distinction between the two. To start, there has been a lot of clarification or accusations that it's semantics or it's politically correct police using anti-choice rather than pro-life when we really need one or the other. No, that is not the case. We specifically need anti-choice, and we, in fact, Dead Might so far as to define exactly what we mean by anti-choice in the amendment to the motion. The big thing is that pro-life